Good morning. This is Ron Brown. It's Saturday morning, the 15th of July, 2023. Summer's half over already, and we've had quite a market rally. I just want to show you a few things that I've changed in my files. These are minor changes, and I also want to show you something that's very powerful that I've talked about before, but I want to emphasize it. Before I go any further, of course, I have to put this standard risk disclaimer up here. I'm not going to read all of it. Just any stock, index, or ETF mentioned in this presentation is not a recommendation to buy or sell. All trading strategies are used at your own risk. If you're a member of my Insider Club or a trial member, I made some changes this morning, and what I want you to do, just to make sure that everything is identical to mine, just click on this Choose Create View, go in and locate the one with my name on it. It should say Ron Brown Top-Down Process Scans 2023 Webinar Series. If you have my old files in there, just delete everything else. Just get rid of anything with my name on it, and including this one, and then install the add-on file again, and I'll send the link out when I finish this video. I want you to do that for the warehouse views, and also I want you to do that for the chart views. I really haven't changed much on the chart views, but just so everything is synchronized, just click on the Choose Create View and find Ron Brown Top-Down Analysis Charts 2023 Webinar Series. Delete it. Delete anything else, like I said, with my name on it. This is the only one I want you to have, just to make sure that we're using the same files when I do webinars and videos. Now, the thing I want to talk about this morning is the stocks and groups moving up, smart groups and user smart groups. In my files in the 2023 webinar series, I've tried to make this a little bit clearer today, but right here, the top-down stocks and groups moving to the upside. What I have in here, I have three folders. The first one is linked directly to the smart groups that are generated every day. These are end-of-day smart groups under the Woodward and Brown smart groups. So what these are accessing are under the smart groups here, under Woodward and Brown, and these four groups right down here. Stocks and groups moving to the downside and upside. So it's a direct link to those. Now, a while back, I decided that I wanted to not wait until the end of the day to know which groups are moving. So I put in some scans, and these scans are designed to capture the stock and group movement intraday, and then they're saved. So the C scans are actually the ones that I rebuild during the day, and then they will be saved at the end of the day up here in the B folder. Now, it's not always perfect, but it's really close. So let me just show you this. So here are the Woodward and Brown scans, and I'll just click on number one, stocks and groups moving up, smart group. Move this over to the side, and let's look at it. You can see the home builders dominated this group, followed by application software. So this is end of day. This is all of them, and these are 1 to 15 stocks. Biotechs dominate these, application software. Remember, these are going to the Woodward and Brown smart groups at the end of the day. I noticed a spelling error I had to pause and fix. So this is Woodward and Brown. And these, like I said, these have worked great for years, but I wanted to know what's going on in the market. Now, we didn't have this capability until the software could interact with Thinkorswim or financial modeling for intraday quotes, but now I can run the intraday user smart groups, rebuild them intraday, and find out what is moving intraday. And then at the end of the day, these are moved up to the B folder. So yes, it's a little bit confusing, but if you see me do it in the webinars, it's really not that confusing. But this becomes a repository for these that are run during the day, and whatever the market looks like at the end of the day using these scans here, both up and down, go into the B folder, and then these are saved in my non-index files. It's a little bit confusing, but bear with me here. So if I run these during the day, this is Saturday. My intraday files have been updated. Let's look at stocks up, user smart group, $15 and up. And what do we have here? We have biotech 11, home builders 9 at the end of the day. Now let's move up to the B folders and see if this matches up pretty well. So $15 and up, and this is captured on Friday, and you can see that biotech is 11, home builders is 9. Let's go back down to the C folder, which was at the end of the day. You can see that these haven't changed. Now, sometimes there will be a slight discrepancy, but not very much. So that's to the upside. Now let's do it on the downside. Stocks down, smart groups moving down. I'm going to pause this and change this so this is a little bit clearer. I want to go in and designate $15 and up just to clarify that. Anyway, this is the end of day. This is the end of day capture for moving down, $15 and up. If you look over here, exploration and production, and let's go down to C and see how this matches up. There was some slight movement down here, but not much. Exploration and production down. Let's see, there are 14 of them here and 14 of them here. How about application software? 7 and 7, I believe. Okay, so you can see that it does a good job of capturing them. You don't really need to pay attention to this B folder during the day. What I use it for is I know the capture is in here, and the next day when everything is being updated, I can come in here and see which of these stocks are following through in the B folder. But primarily during the day, I run these scans or update the user smart groups, and I can see exactly what is moving, what groups are the weakest, and you can see that exploration and production was the weakest group on the $15 and up, and the 1 to 15 application software, and then exploration and production. Now this gives us a tremendous advantage when we're prospecting because we can see where the action is. I just want to pull this up. Paul Reike posted this on the Skype board. This is what Gil put out yesterday. The Owl Trader, he said oil's getting slapped around as reverse B pullbacks blossom in this group. Well, you know, this is another subscription if you want to pay for stock charts, and there's absolutely no need to do that because it's all right here for us. We get a great look at the market using these groups just by updating the user smart groups. What I do, and I'll just take you through this process very quickly, it's Saturday, so it's not like it's real time, but I will go into the industries, take the filter off, and at that point I'll just go under Tools and select Rebuild Indexes and Groups so I can see what the industry groups are. Just takes a little bit, and then I will rebuild the user smart groups. And that is what gives me the output into this folder, which is marked C. Okay, it's just finishing up. So let's just pretend that this is the intraday. And it's just rebuilt what I already had here. But this is $15 and up. Intraday, it says intraday, and I bring this back up, and it shows what the market looks like at any point during the day when I just go through that process. And then I can start looking for stocks, see how old these signals are with the 3 crossing the 6, either up or down, see if both of them are down, and how many days they've been down on the downside and on the upside. Just go to the stocks up under the C folder, and you can see then where the strength is, how old the signals are, relative strength, and so on. It works very well. Okay, now I want to quickly go over to the designer, the user groups, my non-index files. These are for Insider Club members, and where I save this information is stocks and groups, up and down, smart groups, folder number 12 now. And every day I just drag them up here, and then I can go back and I can compare them to the stocks and groups up and down for Woodward and Brown, and just see how much they differ and what the market looked like at the end of the day on each of those days. I'll do more of this as I do additional webinars and so on, just to show you how powerful this is. Okay, now I'm just doing this on the fly, but let's go into these industries, and I'm going to go down to my top or up to my top-down process for HGSI index analysis, sorted on raw combo. You can see that managed care was on top, but home builders, we saw a lot of home builders up. It's up near the top of the list. I'm going to drop down to number 3, which sorts on advancing versus declining issues. You can see the percentage advancing and declining. This puts home builders on the top, managed index second, funeral services. There's only a couple of stocks in there. I don't pay much attention to that. But you can see the advancing versus declining and the percentage right here. This is a different look, but this can be used during the day also to see where the strength and weakness is, although I prefer the technique I just showed you, because I can get a much clearer picture of what's happening now. I'm going to go back to all securities, and let's go back. I mean, using the industry groups is fine, but if I want to get a quick read on, and this is the way it looked at the close yesterday. Remember, these are going to change intraday. Here's the home builders. Here's managed care. I just looked at that. That managed care group was on top, and home builders are right here. And this is so much easier to look at this rather than going into the industries and going top down, because it's laborious. We get a quick read right here, and we can see how much these stocks are up, where they're trading in their daily range, how their volume is, and the relative strength, and if there's a VPA flag over here. Okay, I'm going to wrap this video up by taking a quick look at the markets. I'm going to go into my user groups, market analysis user groups, the first folder. Then I'll click on this and go to top-down analysis, indexes, ETFs, and so on. Let's see how the market ended yesterday. This is sorted on percentage price change. You can see that most of the indexes were down. The Dow was up, and the DIA Spider, of course, was up too. The S&P 100 was up barely, but the rest of them were down. Bitcoin had a big sell-off yesterday, mid-afternoon, but it was actually a negative day yesterday in the sense that, as I bring up the NASDAQ composite here, and I'll go to the NASDAQ chart under market charts. Let's do number 3 with the AD line down at the bottom. And you can see that a negative EPA flag was generated. High volume down bar after an up move on high volume indicates weakness. And you can see volume was high here. The decliners, as I bring up alternate eye, scroll down here, you can see that the advancing stocks were 906, the decliners were 2218. The new highs were 78, new lows 27. But you can see that the new highs turned down and the new lows went up a little bit. The AD line turned down. I'm going to drop or go up to my 1A chart, and you can see that this turned down. This is a comparison to the S&P 500. So it was underperforming the S&P 500 a little bit yesterday. When the blue line's going up, the NASDAQ's outperforming the S&P. When it's flat, it's performing with it. When it goes down slightly, it's underperforming. But this is a warning that maybe the market needs a little time to take a rest. The trend certainly hasn't changed. It's still up, and it will be up if we get back down in this area. If it collapses below support, which is drawing tools up. I want to go back to the other chart here. Whoops. This one right here. And I'm going to zoom in to number 1, and then I'll go over here and I'll get a line. Support is right there at the, if it comes down and breaks down through here, then it's fallen back into its trading range. But clearly it is still up at the moment, but this is kind of a warning shot. Now, the stock that was the one that I believe helped lead the sell-off. As I pointed out on the Skype board yesterday, the internals were poor all day from the start of the day. But the stock, which, and I'm going to go down to my daily charts, and I'm going to type in NVDA, had a huge reversal yesterday, and this is one of the leading stocks in the market, this and Meta, but there was a recommendation to buy yesterday by one of the brokerage firms, giving it a ridiculous price target of $550, $575, something like that. So all the unsuspecting people, traders that wanted to get in, gapped it up to here, took it all the way up to, well, let's see. Let's just move down one. End of day statistics. 714, got up to 480, traded back down to 450, closed at 450, 469. So you can see there was a tremendous range there. When I click on this, it says an up thrust bar after an up move, a sure sign of weakness, reached new recent high but failed to hold. This almost looks like a climax run to me. You look at the excessive volume, and then you look at this, and then you look at the VPA flag. See what it does next week. But there was a lot of money that changed hands, and those who chased it got in late. if they held on, they took some pretty serious losses. Now I'm going to clean this up. So this was one that really caught my eye. Let's take a look at Meta. I didn't look at it, but you can see that it opened here, traded up to here, and then closed down a little bit. So some of these stocks have had such tremendous runs, they're tired. I'm going to go to all securities, alternate space bar. I do want to point out that one good scan, well, there's many good scans, but if you look at these long-term leaders, this is a place to find stocks that are doing well. Notice the relative strength column here, both the HCS IRS and Kirkpatrick RS, and you can see what these stocks did yesterday. This one was up 24.7. AEHR, I don't know how to pronounce that. Air Test Systems, they reported earnings after the bell the prior day, up 18.2. Some of these are down, but you can find some really strong stocks in here. Let's do an industry percentage price change sort. Look what comes to the top here. Home builders. These are all among my long-term leaders, and you can see that only one of them in this group was down yesterday. The others were all up. Now those medical devices, that was the second group. You can see that there are long-term leaders here too. Looks like some of them were down and some of them were up. But many of them were included. Now, I'll do another webinar next week, and what I'm going to concentrate on is looking at individual stocks, and we're going to talk about things like the structure of charts, what each individual bar tells us. We're going to look at direction and width, range, talk about pivots. There's our pivots down here, looking for entry points, looking for trends and pullbacks, just more chart analysis. I think that's what people really like, and it's a valuable way to look at things. For example, what is this? DR Horton. Look at this beautiful trend up, and then it stalled a little bit, and then we had these two efforts to fall. This one was, let me put a crosshair on here, on light volume. This was heavier volume, but then a white candle appears here, which tells us immediately that the selling has stopped on relatively heavy volume. Is this a time to buy it? Well, it's a pretty scary time to buy it, but this could be considered, these are about the same area, could be considered a low pivot where it would be purchased when it takes out the high of the prior day. So with a buy stop in here, you'd be stopped into this stock at that point. But I want to start doing more of that in these webinars, and at the same time building watch lists. So anyway, thanks for listening, and I will see you next Thursday. I haven't decided if I'm going to do it towards the end of the market day or intraday again. People seem to enjoy the intraday last week, so I may seek a little feedback on that and then decide the time of the day to do it. Thank you for listening. Have a good weekend.